In this video, we're going to be talking about 5 cards that will not lose value even after the market correction. Stay till the end of the video because we're going to talk about a card that was not only a part of the boom, but had an all-time high sale recently. And it's a modern card. So stay till the end of the video to find out what card that is. All right, so we're here in TCG Fish, and we're looking at the Charizard GX from Sun and Moon Hidden Fates. And this card is going to be our control group for the video. So Charizard is an iconic character. A lot of people graded this card, but it was a part of the market correction. So you can see here around middle of 2020, there was some sales right above the $250 line of the PSA 10s. And then around 2021, March, July, December, you can see that correction there. And it just kept going down and down and down. And then here we have it. Last sale of a PSA 10 for this card was all the way down to $34. Just basically barely over how much it is to actually grade with PSA. So this is going to be our control group for this video. Starting off with number 1, we have the Full Art Pikachu EX from the Red Blue Collection Black Star promo. And this card is going to be a great example of a card that does not need to be vintage in order to maintain its value. This is a 2016 card, so it's a little more towards the modern side, and of an iconic character, and it has a great artwork. And I think that that's really something that I want to nail home in this video, is that artwork is very important for a card. And I mean, it might be an iconic card, but if the artwork is terrible, you know, nobody's going to care. It really needs to have either that solid character or a solid artwork to maintain its value. So with this card, we can scroll down here to sales history, and we can see a PSA 10 in 2020 started around the $300, $400 mark, and it just kept going up. And there was a slight adjustment right there, but there you go. Last sale of this card was $1,800, right around the $1,900 for the average of the last sales. And if we look at the PSA 9 and 8 for this card, the middle of 2020, it had that jump, it had that boom, and we saw a slight bit of correction. It went down just a little bit for the 8s and 9s, but it went straight back up, you know. And with this Charizard that we saw earlier, it was completely knocked off its feet, and it will most likely not be getting back up to that $250 mark ever. So this card did get right back up in price and stayed around the price that it had in the boom. Next up, we're going to be looking at the Umbreon from Aquapolis. This is H29 from 2003. And this is an example of a vintage card and a iconic character, the Umbreon, which is one of the most popular of the evolutions. We can see right away sales history. We got middle of 2020, had that boom, went from 500 to almost 3,000 in that short period of time. And then it just stayed right around there, even seeing a high sale just recently. This was September 6th, $3,500. So this is a great card. I mean, highly investable, highly collectible. And even though hasn't been a ton of sales, I mean, it's been holding its value extremely well. And as we know, the Pokemon market's highly volatile, especially for those lower numbers. And even for those, I mean, it's held its value very, very well. So this is another great card, and this is number 2 on the list. So next up, we have Rocket's Mewtwo from Gym Challenge. And this card is great, both unlimited and the first edition, which is actually kind of surprising because that's not always the case for some of these cards. I was looking for some cards for this list, and there was a lot of cases where it was just the first edition or it was just the unlimited, and this is an example of both. So we can see right away, 2020 got that boom, and it had a little bit of a drop off, but it went straight back up and we had a last sale of 1,075. This was a few months ago, recording this as of November. So this was a little while ago, and there hasn't been a ton of sales, but this card is of an iconic character and also a vintage card, which vintage typically is going to hold its value a lot better. And then even if we see with the first edition, went up around 2020 with the boom, and it's stayed pretty strong with its prices. Its last sale 1,100, and we can see it did spike up to around 2,000 for a couple sales, but it's still held its value very well, and even in some of those lower grades, it's also held very strong. So this is number 3 on our list. Number 4 is actually not this card. It's not the Moltres, but it is a series of cards. And I think you already know where I'm going with this. It's going to be the Legendary Collection Reverse Foils. An absolutely iconic foil pattern. The reverse foils from Legendary Collection. Everyone loves them. Their cards hold value extremely well. We can see with this Moltres went up in 2020. Had some last sales of $1,500, averaged 1,000, and this card is just seeing, incredible sales overall. And then also there's some really nice entry levels for some of the lower grades as well. So if you're not interested in spending, $1,000, $1,500 on this card, you can get one for, $160 in an 8, and you can get an awesome foil pattern. And we can even see, I had a couple other examples here. We have the Ivysaur 47 reverse foil, where we got the 2020 went all the way up to around $700, and it's stayed there. It's stayed there. Like it dropped a little bit, but if we go back to that Charizard from earlier, you can see it completely. It went from $250 to $34. So back to the Ivysaur here, we see last sale of this one was $600, and it's doing really well. And then even another example too, Slowpoke, which might not be necessarily an iconic character, but even this card, just in the reverse foil pattern, look at how it has held its value. And then here's the 10, which I just had it set to the grade 9 and 8 there. Look at the 10. 2020 didn't even really see a boom, but it has jumped up 2022, and it has been holding strong. Last sale of $850 and averaged $700 before that. So number 4 is going to be Legendary Collection and the reverse foils for Legendary Collection. Finally, we've arrived at the number 5 final card of this list, and this one's a big one, an extremely iconic art. It's a modern card from 2018, nonetheless, and this is a Japanese card. I was planning on staying mainly with English cards in this because I'm a little bit less familiar with Japanese cards, but this card has performed extremely well. If we scroll down, look at these numbers, guys. 2020, you saw a boom all the way up to 3,000, and it went down a little bit with the correction. We can see it went down to maybe around 1,500 to 2,000, so it saw a $1,000 decrease. However, look at where it's at 2023. It shot up to 4,000 at one point, and now it's sitting around the 2,800 last sale, around the 3,000 mark, and there's one even for 3,500. So sitting around that last sale of 2,800. But this is remarkable that it was a part of the boom. You can see, imagine being one of the people that bought this back in 2019 for, $100. $100, and then seeing it go all the way up to, over 4,000 this year. That would be awesome. And it's an awesome artwork too. It's like that Van Gogh Pikachu that came out recently. And also check out the grade difficulty on this one, guys. Very easy. 81% chance of a PSA 10. There's 2,500 on the population report and 568 in a PSA 9. So this card, it's on the market cap ranking number 7. So that's number 5, and really that's number 1 on this list. We weren't really going in a specific order, but this would have to be number 1 on investments and just overall liquidity and popularity. And there's really no wonder that it's at number 7 of the market cap ranking. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap up the 5 cards that will not lose value list of cards. It was really in no specific order, but this Pikachu has to be number 1 on this list for sure. Just an awesome artwork. And also, I just noticed that there's an Eevee in the background of that card. That's going to wrap it up, guys. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye!